This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
How you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm good, John. Yourself?
Oh, not bad. It's Christmas time and all that.
Yeah, and what better thing to talk about Christmas than the devil himself?
The devil himself. Krampus?
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie, but I heard it's actually supposed to be not terrible as far as Christmas-themed horror comedies go.
Yeah, horror comedy. So when somebody's like, "What's that about?" I'm like, "Well, horror comedy. You could throw movies like Arachnophobia in there and a few others, right?" So it's
Yeah,
basically of that genre.
yeah, but the devil we're talking about here is Daredevil. It's like Marvel's blind attorney with radar sense.
Oh, that
It's
was
like,
the Ben Affleck. He did that. That was one of the things that he did originally, right?
yeah, it's part
He
of
wrote-
the one of the things that seemingly drew a nail in his coffin in the year of 2005, along with Geely and Paycheck. But hey, it's like he came back, and now he's Batman. So, but still, I'm more looking forward to his next directorial effort. But still, it's like everything's cyclical, and like Daredevil has his ups and downs over the years. In fact, it's like, well, everyone regards the Frank Miller run as kind of the definitive thing, the one that everyone keeps coming back to. Daredevil had a nice big renaissance in the early aughts after Kevin Smith took over for an 8-issue run. Then he was followed up by David Mack. See, and then Bob Gale did a run, and then Brian Bendis took over for a lengthy, it's like 40 odd issue run that stood as one of the best titles Marvel published while it was ongoing. And he just did a really good character driven story about how Daredevil that centered around how Daredevil's secret identity was outed for everyone, but he managed to deflect it by lying to just about to everyone, denying it, and it's like and it kind of worked, but it also just made life hell for himself and his friends. It was a ton of fun while it was going, and then after it ended, well then you get the question becomes, well, how are they going to follow this up? Ed Brubaker took a stab at it, and while the first arc he did, the Devil in Cell Block D, was quite good, afterwards, well, it's kind of like what followed was kind of everything I kind of don't like about Brubaker's tenure in the Marvel Universe, in the sense that he empathizes more with the villains and the heroes, to the point where it's hey, it's like you're just going to see this character suffer while the villains just run roughshod over him for most of the run. So by the time he left, I was okay. All right, fine. This is good. We're gonna get someone new, and then that person new was Andy Diggle of the Losers fame, and well, he kind of just drew Daredevil's life into even more pain and misery, to the point where he was possessed by a demon. It's like, and and killed Bullseye, or so we thought. It's like, and just did all sorts of bad stuff in the whole Shadowland event. Well, after driving Matt Murdock so far down into the depths of pain and misery, well, here comes Mark Waid, and to basically go, hey, I'm not going to do that. I am going to do something that is just less angst and pain driven than previous ones. I'm going to do my Matt Murdock is going to be someone who who actually can laugh about his situation and turn his back on all the pain and darkness that has come before. But the genius of Wade's run is that even though Murdock is determined to be a better, more upbeat person, he's not ignoring. He just didn't suddenly chuck out all the stuff that had come before. All the stuff he has done, with being possessed by a demon, and all that's still acknowledged. I mean, the thing about Waid is that Waid is really good at using continuity, in comics, in a fairly unobtrusive fashion, to the point where one of the key plot points of his initial run on this series was involved a bunch of the terrorist organizations of the Marvel Universe, Hydra, Agency Byzanti, Black Spectre, and all these couple other ones that are some of you have heard of, some of you have not, and how Daredevil gets this drive made out of the unstable molecules of a spare Fantastic Four uniform and gets all this information out, like on their organizations, and he basically just bullshits them into a stalemate while they try to figure out how do we get this information back. It's like it's kind of like it's a I mean like you like he, even if you've never heard of like a lot of this stuff, Waid presents it in a way that is both accessible and quite a lot of fun. It makes a lot of sense, and also and even though like Waid doesn't like portray his run as kind of like a having a big point to it, in the sense that I have planned this out from the very beginning, kind of like Jonathan Hickman did with his run on Fantastic Four and Avengers. It's like Wade's still really good at improvising and just like spinning up new complications out of the it's like out of the course of his run. I mean, because like it's like well the first half of his run basically kind of deals with the threat of mega crime, and also one of his longtime villains planning a solely drawing the noose around Daredevil's neck, or really a target in this case. It's like it's like it's still presented in a way that's both fun and doesn't come off as overly obvious, or like feeling that we've been like that we've been here before, that we've seen this exact same thing before. It's always presented in that way that's both fun, it's like and imaginative, and it only becomes more so once Chris Samnee shows up around issue 11 to become the regular artist on the series, and even though his art isn't big on exacting detail, it's got a, it's I love using this word because it just covers so much stuff in comics, but it's great 'cause it's expressive. It's expressive. It's like he's got really got an eye for really cool, for really layouts, and he's also good with telling the story, just letting you being able to follow the events of the action from panel to panel. It's like in a way that keeps you reading. It's like no matter what, it doesn't let you get confused overall. It may not seem like a big detail, but it's kind of something that you really notice when it's not done well. Samnee does it really well. So almost to the point where it's like you're almost going to take his work for granted. But every every issue he's on, it's great. But also the series is graced by some great fill-in stuff from Mike Allred in one issue, and also from Javier Rodriguez. It's like in a couple issues throughout the run. It's like in fact Rodriguez also has some really stylish layouts. It's like in his issues as well, make that kind of show you, hey, this series really has solid art. Really from beginning to end. It's just really really fantastic stuff overall. But like I said, even though Waid's Daredevil doesn't have a big overarching story, the the little meta stories Waid tells are still pretty fun. From the threat of the one of his longtime villains to break his life. It sounds like we've hey, it's like we've done this before, but it's actually portrayed in a way that once this person is revealed, it's like, oh wow, that's actually kind of cool. And in fact, it actually contributes a new villain, Ikari, who is basically someone who was born through the exact same accident that gave Daredevil his powers, except for the fact that this guy can see. It's like it's a clever thing, and even if Ikari isn't fleshed out as a actual person, he's a good concept that I can see people slowly building on this guy as an anti Daredevil. It's later, later on, but also you've got this. You've got that arc, you got the mega crime arc, and then you've got the Sons of the Serpent who infiltrate New York and eventually threaten to reveal Daredevil's identity unless he capitulates to their to their demands. It's like then but Daredevil does not do that, and instead he basically reveals the worst kept secret in the Marvel universe. Tell you exactly what it is, but if you've heard that before, you should probably know that eventually causes him to move out to San Francisco for the second half of his run. It's and where he mixes it up with with a hero, the kind of villainous hero named the Shroud, and one of his other longtime nemesis, the Owl. It's like the and it's and he And again, it's like there's a lot of interesting stuff here, for like from how Daredevil reacts to this like other dark hero, and how the Shroud has his own goals and trying to get back with his girlfriend, but he's kind of crazy and scary, and also like how the Owl has trying to get on the edge of this new telecommunications thing that winds up blown up in his face almost quite literally. And then it all culminates in the final arc, which, as I mentioned in my review of the next most recent volume, the Daredevil well, the final arc is basically a big 6-issue epic where it's like where all of Daredevil's secrets wind up getting broadcast to San Francisco. It's like, and actually it's kind of cool in the sense that you don't realize you're reading the final arc until you get halfway through, and then you realize that okay, that the one thing that Waid has been holding off on throughout the entire run is when's Matt going to come face to face with the Kingpin, because Daredevil and the Kingpin, they always come to a head over every Daredevil run, and it's like that's where the Daredevil left off with Matt hopefully trying to strike a deal with Wilson Fisk in order to save the life of his friends and save the life of his friends, really. It's like, and it's actually, and while he presents a compelling art in the final volume, the autobiography of Matt Murdock, Daredevil presents a compelling argument to Fisk as to this is why hey, here's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you the death of Matt Murdock, and I'm basically going to be under your thumb, like with all this information I'm going to give you. And it's kind of funny. Like, you think that would he it's like that's would he really go through with this? But at one time, but it's also a testament to Fisk that he sees through Matt's argument and says, I know what you're offering me, but at the same time, you're just kind of like offering this to to buy you enough time in order to figure out just how you would get out of this situation. And so it basically kind of leads up to a moment where it's like where Fisk basically tells Murdoch, no, really, Mr. Murdoch, I expect you to die. So it's a fun, it's like thoroughly entertaining final 3 issues that in this final volume, as Daredevil has to figure out just how to contend with Fisk's desire just see him dead no matter what. It's like, and when another villain comes back to see this done through as well. And and overall it's like aside from the fact that this whole thing should have been a big 9-issue collection, that the autobiography of Matt Murdock, the final volume, is still a fitting wrap up to the series, and it's like a worthy wrap up to Waid's run as a whole. Even that those final pages where Foggy Nelson has to confront Matt about all he's been doing over the run. It's like he's just basically saying that it's like you still have we know you're kind of an idiot, you're kind of you can be a fool at times, but hey, it's like you're still a good friend. It's like and you have people who genuinely love you, and it's like, and it doesn't feel cheap or overly sentimental. It's like after everything that's come before, it really does feel earned. And let me just say that Waid has a great handle on Matt's partner, Foggy Nelson, because even though Foggy's always kind of there for comic relief, he's like he's kind of a bumbler. It's like always likes eating the most unhealthy it's like unhealthy stuff you can imagine, like a Limburger and bacon cake. Good God, how do you consume something like that? But at the same time, though, Foggy is still smart enough to know to know the thing that will enable Matt to finally crack the case wide open. It's like, and he's also there to just call Matt on a lot of the bullshit he pulls over the course of this run as well. Same goes for quote unquote Daredevil's girlfriend in this run, Assistant District Attorney Kristen McDuffie. It's like even though it's like she's kind of pulling the whole I know you're Daredevil, and like this is what everyone says. It's like she, it's like she winds up being a pretty good foil who, it's like who can also like call Matt on his bullshit as well, on his what. Call Matt out on his bullshit as well. It's like, and also just it's like proving to be fairly, it's like definitely capable on like in handling, it's like handling a lot of the danger thrown at her. It's like in his own, like on her own terms as well. It's like she's not just like a shrinking violet. She's actually very capable of standing up to a lot of the stuff, a lot of the stuff the villains pull. It's like in this run as well. In fact, there's a great moment in the Daredevil, where she's being held captive by a bad guy, and it turns out that hey, it's not one from Matt's rogues gallery, it's one from her rogues gallery. A guy named the Lilac Killer she put away. So, and it's also fun to see her, finally take the guy out on her, it's like on her own terms. So, like, so basically, Mark Waid's run on Daredevil, this is like the kind of thing you want to see from like every good run. It's like it basically hits all the familiar stuff that you'd expect from a from working on a superheroes like working on superhero titles, like just like the hits the villains and like the kind of stuff you expect to see, but also adds like some great stuff as well. So overall, it's like Waid Waid's and Chris Samnee's run has basically been thoroughly entertaining from beginning to end, and it's also since it's the longest run a single writer has had on Daredevil, it's like ever, and for good reason. Because really, it's like it's over 50 issues, and all of them are thoroughly entertaining. My only concern now is that it's now it's now being taken over by Daredevil is now being written by Charles Soule and illustrated by Ron Garney, and well, it's like it seems like this first issue they've kind of gone back to the grim and gritty Daredevil, which is yeah, okay. I mean, like that's Daredevil's always going to be like kind of dark as well, but he's also like we've also kind of like seen apparently this first issue puts a lot of stuff that Waid took out of the bottle back in the bottle as well. I would be concerned about this, except that Soule is also a very smart and calculating writer. Like he's not the kind of guy who would simply throw out continuity, just do what he wants. I get the feeling that that with this new run on Daredevil, we will eventually have an explanation as to why everything from Waid's run has been kind of like just like put away. But still, for what it's worth, Daredevil's Waid's Mark Waid and Chris Samnee's run on Daredevil, thoroughly entertaining, easily one of the best superhero comics Marvel has published like in the last couple of years, and you can get it either in 7 volumes under Daredevil by Mark Waid, or just plain Daredevil 1 through 4. It's like, and it's also being, and you can also buy it in 5, I believe 5 hardcover volumes as well. So there you go. Mark Waid and Chris Samnee's Daredevil, highly recommended. So John, any thoughts on your end about all this?
So hardcover, huh? You can get them that
Yeah,
way.
5. Yeah, Marvel tends to save the hardcovers for the stuff that either sells really well or is really that good. And Daredevil, well, it's like it's really good even if it never quite set the sales charts on fire, but it still sold consistently well throughout Waid's tenure, which you really can't say a lot of other titles did. During it's like not a lot of titles really sell consistently. It's like at one level like these days. So so that fact that Waid managed to pull that off during his run, it's like is kind of an achievement in and of itself.
All right. Do you know what you're going to talk about next time?
Okay, well, it's like we're getting to the end of the year here, but I've got one. Considering my vacation from work is coming up quite soon. I've got one more regular podcast that I'd like to do that is going to hinge on me rereading something that is slightly less, not quite as long as Gantz, but more dense as well. And if I manage to pull that off, you'll see that next time. But But after that though, expect best of 2015. It's like in about a month or so.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to it and catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, later's.
Bye.